Much for being here. This has become my favorite hour of the week. So thanks for
Yeah.
sharing it with me. I'm so excited to have people here. Here's how the experiment works. You can either show your face or not. It is not required to show it or to not show it. This is an hour for you. And here's the really good news. You cannot do it wrong. It is impossible to do anything wrong over the next 59 minutes. You cannot do it wrong. We are experimenting. This is only an experiment. The experiment has begun. And in my dream, the experiment will continue now for the rest of your day. And if all goes well, the rest of your life. And you cannot do it wrong. So it's like the very best kind of experiment. A couple other really important things. Here's the tools you will need until this part of the experiment ends. You need your ears, you need your brain, and you need your feelings. No notes are required. They are totally optional. This is not a test. There will not be a test. You already got an A.
Mhm.
This whole experience, even though I'm going to use words to describe it and to help you along the way, this whole experience is about your feelings and it's about what you're feeling. So even when I'm talking and using words, you get to tune into how you feel about the words. More on that as we go along. Um, Here's the other thing how this will work. I'm going to teach how to run an experiment. And this is not starting right now, but in a few minutes, I'm going to teach how to run an experiment. And then I'm going to invite you to turn the volume down or to mute your computer so that you can run your own experiment uninterrupted by me or anyone else. If all goes well, it's going to feel so cool and so interesting. It's going to be so fun to run this experiment that you are not going to want to come back for the next round of teaching. In my perfect world, in about 45 minutes, I say, and now my teaching is done. And no one is listening anymore because you're running your own experiments and it's awesome. So here's the other tool I would like you to engage is something to set an alarm for 10 minutes to the next hour so that you do come back for our conclude time. So whether it's on your phone or your computer or some magical clock or another human who comes and taps you on the shoulder at 10 minutes to the next hour, that's when I want all of us to be back. But again, hopefully in a few minutes, I do some teaching and you start running the experiment and you don't want to come back. That would be my dream situation. So again, please set a timer for 10 minutes to the next hour so you do come back and we can conclude. Whoops, and I can send you off on the rest of your week and for the rest of the experiment. You have a timer. We have people in here. Next time I'll make this. Oh, here we go. There, I fixed the noise. Da, 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 da. I love that I just said we will fix the noise. In the beginning, I called this the head trash experiment because I thought this was about dealing with those negative thoughts that we have. What I have come to see is the experiment is an amazing tool for anything, any thought, any feeling that we have. One that you might categorize as positive or negative. And of course, there's a whole bunch of things between positive and negative. But the whole point, and again, I'll get more into this, this is about negative self talk. This is also about happy talk or whatever you might call other sorts of thoughts that you have. So, again, here's how it's going to go. I'm going to teach a little bit. You're going to mute, you're going to try on the teaching that I have taught. Hopefully, it'll be so amazing you won't want to come back. If you do want to come back, or if it was torturous or it was terrible or you're curious, we'll come back. I'll answer a few questions. People will share their insights. I'll teach a little more. We'll mute again. We'll come back. People will share their insights or their questions. I'll teach a little bit more. Everybody will mute. We'll come back again until we have 10 minutes left. So that's how this is going to work. You can share your face. If you do, I love it. I love seeing your faces. But if it feels better or more natural for you to not show your face, that's fine too. So here we go. First round of teaching. This experiment was inspired for me by reading the book Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. What I'm about to teach you has a lot to do with him And I have a couple of tweaks in my experience of what he taught. A little bit of commentary. I think the book Letting Go by David R. Hawkins is the funniest book on the planet. And this is why. He makes extremely bold statements. And actually, the person who wrote the preface or the foreword or whatever also makes extremely bold statements. The person who wrote the preface gives credit to the process they learned from David Hawkins for curing their allergies, for curing an addiction, for curing anxiety in their lives. I mean, that is a huge, bold statement. David Hawkins talks about giant changes in his own life, the improvement of his eyesight. I mean, this is bananas. And then here's why I think it's the funniest book in the world. He describes his entire process in 3 pages. I'm sorry, not chapters, not pages, paragraphs, 3 paragraphs. 3 paragraphs. He describes his entire process in 3 paragraphs. It's incredible. Here's his process. He says, you will notice feelings. You will notice feelings in your life. I want to be clear when I say feelings, I'm not saying emotions. Emotions are often things we put words on. Feelings are feelings that we have. They're feelings we experience. They might be in your body. They're feelings. So he says, you notice a feeling. You experience the feeling without judgment. He even says you ignore your thoughts. Ignore the thoughts around the feeling. Just feel the feeling. And when you feel it completely, then you let it go. So you notice it, you feel it completely, you surrender or you let it go. Then he says, you may not notice a giant shift when you do that, but there will be things in your life that you will notice are different, or other people will point out that you're different. So the last step of his process is keep track of the evidence. And that's part of why I call this the experiment, because he talks about evidence. And what do you do when you're running an experiment? You run the experiment and you keep track of data. You're just running an experiment. This whole time together with me today and with each other is an invitation to run an experiment. So that's what David Hawkins says. I have a slightly different take, same thing, but a slightly different take. This is my take, and this is my invitation to you. When I'm talking about running the experiment, this is what I'm talking about. You will probably, if you're like me, you will first notice a thought. That person's an asshole. That person's a bad driver. This is too hard. I'm stressed out. This is wonderful. I love my partner. I love that child. What a beautiful day. I'm just giving you examples of thoughts you might have. Around those thoughts, for me, I often have a thought and there's kind of a feeling under it. For you, it might be around it. It might be in your body. It might be in the sky, whatever. Around that thought, there is a feeling. There's a feeling that you have, not an emotion, a feeling. That feeling is a thing that there actually aren't words for in my experience. For example, I feel guilty for not doing XYZ. Is the word guilty ever really the right word for the feeling you're having when you're feeling guilty? Sure, guilty says this broad sweeping concept, but in you, you have an experience of feeling. So David R. Hawkins says you're going to notice a feeling. I say you're going to notice a feeling. David R. Hawkins says ignore your thoughts. I say welcome your thoughts. They are helpful. Don't put in extra effort to ignore your thoughts. In my experience, the thoughts and the feelings are such close buddies. Go ahead and let the thoughts hang around. The point of this exercise is go ahead and use those thoughts to be in touch with the feeling. David R. Hawkins says, when you have fully felt the feeling, let it go. I say, when you fully have felt the feeling, it might feel like it lets you go. In my experience, though, what happens is, again, positive or negative feeling, if you're feeling it, if you're paying attention to it, it's kind of like right now, you're probably not paying attention to your shoulder. It's just shouldering around. If you were to dislocate your shoulder, you would very much be feeling it. For any of you who have dislocated your shoulder, luckily I have not. I've heard it's extremely painful. You can't help but to notice it. You have thoughts around it and you have feelings. David R. Hawkins says, let that feeling go. I say, when you feel it fully, it will reorient itself inside back into you. in a way that you're not noticing it anymore. What was dislocated, even positive, what was dislocated, what was needing your attention or wanting your attention, now comes back into you. And then David Hawkins says, keep track of your evidence. I say, keep track of your evidence. So just slight tweaks here. I say, welcome your thoughts. They are lovely, helpful tools. And he says, let them go. I say, you actually won't have to do anything. That thought or that feeling is going to realign with you in a way that it's not a thing to feel anymore. It's come back to you. That's some heady stuff. That's some concepts. That's some words. Now let's practice it. So this is going to be the first practice. We're going to do what I'm calling a warm-up for just feeling. And again, I'm going to teach now for like less than 60 seconds. And pretty soon we're going to be in the moment where you mute the sound. I'll let you know when that time comes. We're going to practice this. If you do exactly what I'm about to say, and it's so luscious and wonderful, don't come back. If you have a freaking impossible time doing what I'm inviting you to do, don't do it. Instead, notice the feelings you're having around what I'm asking you to do, whether it's working, which by the way, it's working no matter what. But if you feel like, oh, it's not working, feel the feeling of it's not working. That's the freaking genius of this. And it's not my genius, it's David Hawkins' genius. I'm going to invite you to experience a certain feeling. If you can't feel that feeling, that's fine. Feel whatever is there. If my invitation as a warm-up doesn't get you anything, feel the thing that you're not getting, or feel the feeling of not getting it. I hope that made sense. I know it will if it didn't right now. So here's the warm-up. I'm going to explain it here in a moment. I'm going to invite you to mute, and I'm going to set my own timer for 1 minute. What we're going to do for the warm-up is for 1 minute, my invitation to you is to feel the space between the skin on your left hand, the inside of your hand. Just going to invite you to sit, eyes open or closed, video on or off, and feel the inside between the skin of your left hand. I'm going to set my timer here in just a moment. And whoops, here we go. Not 37 minutes, 1 minute. So go ahead and mute and feel the feeling inside the skin of your left hand. Okay, that is 1 minute. For those of you who came back, I would love to hear, if you're comfortable, observations or questions. For those of you who didn't come back, you don't know we're back because you're off feeling your feelings. So thank you. My guess is your experience, minus the breeze, I don't know if anybody else is outside, is very similar to what a lot of people felt. And that is the beauty. And this is not the Sarah Stern genius. This is the David Hawkins genius of holy cow. No matter what is available, we get to feel that. The invitation was to feel the inside of your left hand. You got to feel whatever became available instead. Am I doing this right? I want to do this right. I'm not feeling anything. The breeze. Oh, beautiful. I see a comment. Oh, this is a comment not everybody shared. I'm going to take a look at it because it might be okay, wonderful. The person who put a note in the chat directly to me was talking about how neuroscience talks about some other work actually does improve people's peripheral eyesight and whatnot. So yes, his claims are monstrous and they're true. To me, it's just so wildly funny and amazing that he makes these giant statements because it is true. Actually, maybe the funniest thing about David Hawkins' book is like, why is it not an international bestseller every year since it came out, which was 2012 or something like that? Like, this is so wild. Okay, a comment that I think everybody can see. So many random thoughts. What am I supposed to be feeling? Oh, it's tense. It's tight there. Oh, the skin on my hands is loose on top. And this reminds me of my grandma's hand. And I used to love her hands and how soft and squishy they were. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to be feeling what's inside my skin. Thank you. Again, probably similar to the experience others have been having. And total perfection. The reason I say you cannot do this wrong is David Hawkins' genius observation is that simply feeling what we are feeling completely is a wildly healing. He's a psychiatrist and an MD. He was in the work of healing people. It is so healing. And I'm not even, I don't even do this for the sake of healing. Healing is just for me a cool sidebar I get to have. But I read into your comment there like, oh my gosh, this beautiful connection to your grandmother and now to your children and to your own self, the way you see and experience your own outside of your hand. How cool. If there are any other comments or questions, I would love to hear them. If not, I want to do a little more teaching. Oh, still struggling with the difference between a feeling and emotion. Thank you for that question. I'm checking my facts inside of my head, and I guess I have no way of knowing if I'm getting the facts right here. So I'm just going to tell you this. This is how I'm defining an emotion, how I'm choosing to define an emotion. It's words to talk about a feeling. Emotion, sad, happy, angry, frustrated. Those are words we use to talk about a feeling we're having. That's how I'm defining emotion. Feeling is the feeling you're having. The feeling might be very palpable. It might be an upset stomach, a tight chest, a pain in your head, a rush of energy go through your body. It might be very palpable. It also might be subtle. And what I'm finding is you can actually, do I want to say this word? I'm going to, because I think this is about playfulness. Go ahead and trick yourself and just say, whatever that is that's happening, that's the feeling. You could just say, okay, there it is. When I first started this process, the things I experienced were big and gigantic. Now they're very subtle. And I just say, okay, that must be the feeling. It's a little trick, an experiment you get to run. An experiment you're running. An experiment you're running. Oh, is that me having a feeling? Must be. Okay. This is playfulness. This is an experiment. Oh, that thing that's going on, that's a feeling. Oh, here's one that's very palpable. A breeze on my skin. Feel it. Feel the feeling. Okay, next piece of teaching with this. I'm going to do two things, two pieces of teaching in one. One is this. One way that is helpful for me as a thought around the feelings is to say, I'm feeling about my feelings. So I'm putting my feelers out. I'm feeling about my feelers or my feelings. I'm feeling about my feelings. Another way to think about it is try this on, and we're just going to do this for a moment. No muting. Smile about your smile. I can't help but to smile, kind of a lot of smile, right? Smile about your smile. Okay, here I have a smile. I'm going to smile about it. Isn't that fun? So smile about your smile is easier for a lot of people than feel about your feelings. It's the same thing. I'm going to smile about my smile. Okay, I'm going to feel about my feelings. I'm going to feel about my feelings. Okay, so that's one piece of teaching. I want you to take this into the next experiment. Second piece of teaching is this. This is David R. Hawkins' concepts. He said this: what we are accustomed to in our world is doing one of three things, or sometimes two or three of three things with our feelings. The first one is we suppress it, we push it down. Oh, that was an amazing day. Oh, okay, push it down. Oh, I'm sad. Oh, push it down, right? We suppress or we repress it. That's the first thing we do. Second thing we do with our feelings, we escape from them. We find something else to do. We get busy. We work ourselves like crazy. We snap, we snack, we drink, we gamble, whatever. We find a way to escape our feelings. The third thing he said, those first two things, I was like, familiar. Yep, yep. Third thing that blew my mind was we express them. What? He said we talk about them. We use emotion words to talk about what we're feeling. What we do, this is his genius, what we do when we express it is we take the lid off that feeling enough so that we can now repress it or escape from it. And he says instead of expressing it, instead of repressing or suppressing it or escaping from it, our only job is to feel the feelings fully until he says we let them go, until I say they come back into joint or they return to you. So round two of experimenting here. Here's my invitation. We're going to do it for 2 minutes. Also a bit of a warm up. My invitation is if you could feel the space between one of your hands, now feel the space between both of them. I'm assuming you have two hands. If you don't have two hands, feel the space between the skin of your hand and another appendage. If you didn't feel the feeling of the one hand, do that one. But here's the fun. If you're not feeling your hand, you're going to feel something else. You might feel the breeze. Feel the breeze. If you're not feeling your hand, but you're feeling a pain in your back, feel the pain in your back. If you're not feeling your hand because you're being attacked by thoughts about how incompetent and terrible you are, feel the feelings around that. So fun. So now is the time. We're going to do 2 minutes. Now is the time to mute. That was 2 minutes. For those of you who were curious or just wanted to come back, or maybe were being really frustrated by that, who are here, welcome back. For those of you who that was so juicy for and you stayed, yay, I love that. So here's the moment for questions or observations in that 2 minute experiment. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to clarify, the feeling in the space between your hands, not a requirement, just a nice, well, not easy. For some it's easy, for some it's like, what the hell? But it's a way to practice. It's a way to get the sense. Because I often find when you're angry, oh, how do I feel that, right? We're not actually practiced in fully feeling it. We might get angry, but do we fully feel it? So this is an invitation there. I love that you got to access both, feeling that anger while also feeling your hands. I mean, that sounds so cool. Thank you for sharing that. And because that gave me a chance to say, no requirement to feel your hands. Just to me, kind of a fun way to help people access this. There was a comment a little bit ago, clarifying emotions versus feelings. The person said, I think emotions are energy in motion and feelings describe the experience of the energy in motion. That might be the facts. For the sake of this, I'm saying feelings are the feeling you are experiencing. The energy, the feeling, the physical, the emotional, the feeling. I'm calling emotions the talking about the feeling. So that person said the opposite. The point is, so just to be clear, we're talking about the feeling of the feeling. It's okay if you want to put words on it. To me, that's fine. The point though is the feeling of the feeling and feeling it fully. Go ahead when you're feeling your hands. If something comes into your head of a thing you're angry about, perfect. That's a perfect invitation to feel that next feeling. I am angry about that thing. Okay. Feel it. Here's the beauty of this. Well, I think there are many beauties. I think of these feelings, like we go through our lives not feeling these things, and then they become these like dislocated shoulders in our lives. And we just run around life with these feelings kind of chasing us down. And I know it's a little gross. I just can't come up with a better metaphor. Our feelings are like people standing in line at a concert who need to pee. They really need to pee, and we're the bathroom. And there are some beliefs out there that say, see a feeling or a thought come and just let it go by. And I'm like, no, don't let it go by. Let it come in and pee. Because if it doesn't come in and pee, it's going to go pee on someone else. So for example, you have anger or extreme joy about something. You don't fully experience it. You don't let it pee. It's going to sneak out in the form of you flipping someone off in traffic, or yelling unnecessarily at your dog, or being rude to your colleague or the person you love the most, whatever. I live the life of a 50-year-old woman. Inside, I'm a 12-year-old boy because their humor is the best humor. So good. I see a soul connection here. Another comment here. I found it helpful to literally touch and squeeze your hands and physically feel them. And that triggered you to get out of your head and start feeling your body, which is a shift. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. The reason I do this hour is I think I have a few things to offer. And the reason I stop is you all have so much to offer each other in what is the way into this experience. Here's the cool thing. We walk around feeling our feelings all day long, and we have every moment, all night too. We have every moment of our entire lives. What happens, or the story I've heard, even though my kids didn't do it, we come out screaming when we're born. They were alive and stuff. They just weren't screaming. But right, that's the only thing you have when you're born is the ability to feel. You don't have any words. We were born for this. This practice is an experiment to find your way into feeling it again, or being aware that you're feeling it, because you are feeling these things all the time. You just might be choosing right now to repress or suppress, to escape, or to talk about, So here's my next invitation here. With about 10 minutes left, we're going to do a little longer experiment. My invitation to you is to think of something petty, a pet peeve you have. Not a big giant thing, not a big annoyance, a time in life when someone wronged you, something irritating. I'm going to give you an example. I have a pet peeve. When there's road construction and people don't use both lanes up to the merge, that irritates me. I know for some people, when someone drives up to the front of the line, that irritates them. That's a nice petty place you might start. But whatever sort of petty thing, I'm going to set a timer. We're going to do 4 minutes. We did one, now then we did two. We're going to double it now. We're going to do 4 minutes. Go ahead and think about some petty stuff in your life and feel the feelings around it. It might be a specific time. I was driving this weekend. I live in Minnesota. There's lots of road construction. There were lots of opportunities to be irritated about zipper merging. Find a specific situation of a thing that you were petty about and feel it. My guess is in 4 minutes, you're going to be able to run through a lot of pettiness. You're going to feel the feeling of it for a total of somewhere between 10 and 60 seconds. And a new petty thing will show up. Awesome. Feel the feelingness of that petty thing. And then a next will show up because these are like people waiting in line in a long bathroom line at a concert. They're going to show up for you in perfect order. Go ahead and feel whatever just shows up for you. So I'm setting the timer now, and we will please mute, and we'll come back in 4 minutes. Okay, that was 4 minutes. Who has thoughts, observations, questions? Go ahead and do a reaction too. I'm curious, how many of you felt that 4 minutes was absolute torture? Like an eternity? No. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, observations? Oh, 4 minutes flew by. Yay. I mean, yay if it was torture and yay if it flew by. I'm learning though through this, right? What is this? For some, I remember times in my life where I was asked to be quiet for 2 minutes. And it was like, that is the worst thing you could possibly ask of me, is to be quiet for 2 minutes. That's a lot about me here. I think I just heard someone maybe unmute. Somebody want to say something? No? Oh, it was hard to stay focused on petty things. Oh, how fun. Oh, that's fun. Okay, so petty things might open the door and then other things show up, not so petty things. So here's the fun thing. I am giving you opportunities to run the experiment, as does life constantly. The beauty of life is it's constantly giving you opportunities to run an experiment. Zipper merging annoyances, bad drivers, stub toes, long to-do lists, beautiful sunrises, hugs from people you love, surprise text check-ins. All of life is an invitation to feel the next available feeling. So if my teaching is feel petty things, and I'm going to assume more petty things will come, but more petty things don't come, but something else shows up, beautiful. Go with what is there. David Hawkins quotes Carl Jung, or Jung, I don't know how to say his name, Carl Jung. He's a psychologist or a psychiatrist who talks about how our, and I'm going to say the wrong word, it's either the subconscious or unconscious, is eagerly seeking health and wholeness in your life. And David Hawkins makes the connection of saying whatever the next feeling is the next available feeling for you. It's showing up to benefit you. So if you can't stay petty, go with whatever's there. If you're mad and you feel madness fully, not madness. I mean, I don't know. If you're mad, great. Feel your madness. I meant anger, right? If that's what shows up, feel it fully until something else shows up, because likely something else will. Because we naturally have a whole, because of the way we live in our culture, we have this long line of people waiting to go to the bathroom, and they're just showing up ready. They're ready. They're in perfect order for you. I'm just offering up, go with petty, or go with the inside of your hand, or go with whatever is here. Whatever shows up for you is the perfect thing. Doing a time check. We have 8 minutes. We're going to do a 2-minute one now. And here's my invitation. If this has been actually flowing beautifully for you, go ahead and just feel whatever feeling is available for you, because that's the next phase of the experiment after today. Feel whatever feeling is there for you. When you're waiting in line, instead of getting on your phone, feel whatever you're feeling. When you actually have a big thing, I am mad, or I feel something in my stomach, or whatever, feel it. For those of you who are still kind of like, what the hell, Sarah? What are we doing? If you would like a prompt, here's the prompt. You can say, a part of me feels, and maybe you have a word: stressed, annoyed, wondering why I showed up on this call. Part of me has a painful back, or doesn't like how I'm sitting in this, or my toe hurts, or whatever, right? Just fill in a part of me feels, and you can put a word there, or you can feel whatever shows up when you think the thought, a part of me feels. So 2 invitations here. One is, if this feels like it's flowing, go with whatever you've got. Or maybe you want to try on a part of me feels. If this is not flowing and very frustrating, here's another tool that might help you open up the door to feeling: is a part of me feels. And you can fill in the blank, or just see what is the feeling that shows up. I'm going to do another time check. Yep, we're going to do 3 minutes. Go ahead and mute. Okay. That was however many minutes that was. I think it was 3. I've already forgotten. Who has questions or observations they want to share from that experiment? I sat and felt the feeling of doing an experiment with all of you. And I loved it. I really loved it. Here's what we're going to do. For those people who set their timer for 10 minutes to the hour, that timer is going to go off in 3 minutes. I'm going to do a little bit of teaching. We're not going to run an experiment on this piece of the teaching. One important thing, the important thing that David Hawkins says that I want to point out right now is there are times in our lives when big giant stuff happens. You lose a job, someone betrays you, someone close to you dies, etc., right? Big giant things. He points out that suppressing or repressing or escaping from, or especially expressing our feelings around those things can be very helpful because it does take the steam off of it enough that we can then suppress, especially expressing, can allow us to suppress the emotion enough to like get through our lives. And then later we can come back and feel the feelings little bits and pieces at a time. So I think it's important to hear suppressing or repressing or escaping from or expressing our feelings is not necessarily, naughty, bad behavior. It's a really helpful tool that we've used in our lives, either purposely or accidentally. And this whole process is about reconnecting with and noticing the feelings we're truly having anyway. So, what I don't want you to do is create a rule like thou shalt not suppress, thou shalt not escape, thou shalt not express. It's use that as a tool when it's really valuable and helpful for you. And in general, accept the invitation that you're getting to run an experiment on the feelings that you're having. And if you are like me, those feelings are almost always, I almost always notice them because a thought has shown up. I just saw someone come back on screen. Did you have a question or a comment, or did you just come back? Okay, all right. So the folks who set their timer will be coming back here soon. I want us to conclude here with an invitation for what's next. So here's my invitation to you. When you're thinking about the experiment, please think of it as truly an experiment. This is not a practice or a thing you must have discipline about. Life, like I said, constantly gives us invitations to feel our feelings, positive and negative. You get to notice when life has given you an invitation and then either take the invitation or not. You might experience yourself going, oh, that was an invitation and that and that and that, and I'm dumb now or doing it wrong because I didn't pause to feel my feelings. Great. Feel the feelings around that. This is the fun, the like mind-bogglingly funny, creative, amazing thing that David Hawkins discovered. So notice your opportunities to feel your feelings and then feel them. Oh, I'm trying to get my words right here. Second piece is you will very likely notice changes in your life before you actually notice this working. And I say working in air quotes because you might have just spent this whole hour and gone, oh, I didn't do that right. But then later on today or tomorrow or next week, someone might say to you, gosh, you're glowing, or you're so chill, or you handled that differently, or you'll find it's easier to answer a question or make a decision. So please find a way to keep track of your evidence that this is working. So look for the evidence and then keep track of it. My favorite place to keep track of my evidence is I downloaded the app Marco Polo, and I have my own, like I Marco Polo myself. It's a video app. You're sending videos. I'm then talking about my evidence and I can see myself talking. And it's like I coach myself when I do it. I also created a private group where there are folks in there having fun, some finding it easy, some others struggling, most of us somewhere in between, where we're sharing the evidence. So we're not giving each other feedback necessarily or wrestling about the experiment. We're talking about our evidence. We're talking about our evidence and we're sharing it there. I've even gone on and run the experiment. There's something about being together, like here, the experiment is more accessible to me when I'm with people. On Marco Polo, you're not even there at the exact same time, but there's something about being in a group. So I opened up that group. I'm going to put a link to that if you're interested in being a part of that. But that's also why I do these Monday morning calls or afternoon, depending on the time zone or part of the world that you're in, because it feels more accessible when we're together as a group. So join that group if you would like to. If not, just download Marco Polo and keep track of your evidence, or put it in your journal, or write yourself an email, whatever, some way of just keeping track of evidence. Please do invite others if you think it would be helpful for them. My dream is this is just a place people come to do the experiment together. Bring your clients, bring your dentist, bring your loved ones. Come and do the experiment. If nothing else, then you have this place to come together to have a conversation together later. Not a requirement, but I've been hearing from people who've shown up for these calls that they're out reading David Hawkins' Letting Go. Cool, I love it. I want to point out it's the first 2 chapters that are really, it's the preface, the introduction, and the first 2 chapters where he's really talking about the content that I'm talking about here. The rest of that book is what he learned over time from he calls it letting go. I call it the experiment. So the rest of that book is kind of his insights. To me, I think the juicy stuff is in the introduction, the preface, and the first 2 chapters for figuring out and learning about your own experiment, because I really believe it's different for every single person. Before we finish, there's a comment in here. Not sure what it says about me, but I had a plethora of petty feelings show up earlier. I guess it makes sense because I do actively push those feelings to the side to focus on the more important or urgent ones. Thanks for the invitation to let them be felt and then leave instead of carrying them around. Thank you for saying that. Oh my gosh, yes. I do that too. I have this idea in my head of what are the okay feelings to feel and the not okay feelings to feel. And it's not okay to think that person's ugly or their outfit is dumb or they're dumb or they said something stupid or petty things about myself. I shouldn't say my hair looks bad. I shouldn't say my clothes should fit different. I shouldn't, right? And so I push them away and then they go pee on other things. Yeah, let them in. Let them in. Feel them. And they will reintegrate into you. And then you don't have to carry them around. Isn't that cool? I can take no credit for that. David Hawkins made this amazing discovery. I'm just inviting you to experience what he discovered and to do it, allowing your thoughts. No need to think, no need to ignore your thoughts. Let those thoughts come in. And my other difference is you don't even have to do anything. You don't have to let them go. Just allow them to become part of you again. And then just like he says, please keep track of your evidence. That's so important. Keep track of your evidence somewhere. That is our time together. I hope I get to play with you and run experiments together real time next Monday. I'll be here every Monday. And in the meantime, I know we're all running experiments in our own spaces. And I know we're all feeling our feelings, whether or not we're noticing them. Isn't that cool? We can't even get away from this thing. It's happening whether we're doing it on purpose or not. I hope you have an amazing week, and I'll see you next week, hopefully. What if they stay too long and they don't reintegrate? That's a great question. I have 4 minutes, so I'm going to talk about that. What if they stay too long? Here's the beauty. There is no too long. They just need more time. If they're a big, juicy one and you're just having a hard time managing this big, giant whatever is there, back away from it. David Hawkins talks about the example of a person loses their job and they can't like take on the feeling of that whole thing. They back away into, let me feel the feeling of, I don't get to have lunch with that friend, that favorite colleague of mine anymore. Feel that feeling. And then maybe nibble your way into something that's big. But here's the beautiful thing. There's no such thing as too long. Or feel the feeling around, this is too long. That must be the thing that you're really being invited to feel. Thank you for being here. See you next week.